Hey folks, it's Amy from Colorado Mountain Living. We're in Midwinter here up in the mountains, and we've had some requests for updates about how the gravel driveway is holding up in the midst of the winter, and how is that Geocell working out for us. So yeah, I was hoping to do like a springtime update, but it's true that we do get a lot of thawing that can happen during the wintertime. So you can see right now up on the driveway, there's a lot of bare patches. There's a lot of slushy patches and icy patches because we've had 4 days of above freezing temperatures. We've had a lot of melting. We've had a lot of strong sun. So that really impacts the surface of the driveway. So let me show you up close what's going on. Flipping around on the bottom side of the driveway, this is the back corner. This is the very edge of the corner of the driveway where you try to push the snow off. I was showing you in the last video about driveway maintenance how Brian really tries to get the snow off of the driveway. Look, you can see, we got 6 feet off the driveway here. He just really pushes it. There's a little bit of gravel that comes off. You can look at it in the snowbank. A little bit of gravel comes off with some of that plowing. When you're using the loader, you get some of that removal of the gravel, and that's why this year we decided to go with the snowblower, because we really want to minimize gravel loss. So we really have been successful at that, because in years past we've pushed a lot of gravel off the driveway by using the loader and a plow as our primary means of snow removal. So we're really avoiding that this year. Is the gravel staying in place? How is it really holding up? So you can kind of see a little bit of the crown here on the edge of the driveway. It's still there. It's not like it's scraped down to nothing. Just minimal gravel pushing off the driveway. The areas that get the most sun, you can see, are really dry looking. It gets a lot of sun, so it dries out fast. And when it dries out, it really stays rock hard. When you have more of the moist stuff, you can see that you can leave a footprint on it. So there's not really a way to avoid having your footprint in a wet driveway, when you have the gravel that we have, unless you have more gravel on top. But the bottom part of the driveway is not where the Geocell is. The Geocell is on the part where we saw the most gravel loss, which was the hillside of the driveway. When we were doing a lot of plowing, and I'm guilty of this. When I was plowing a couple years back, I had the Mini Cooper. I was really trying to get to that dirt level so I could have some traction to get the two-wheel drive car up the driveway. So we really saw a lot of that gravel move off the hillside. So this year we've got the Geocell in place. So let's go take a look to see how it's kind of holding up through the winter time and all the snow removal we've done so far. And just remember, we've been using the snowblower as the main snow removal. We haven't really done any plowing at all. Although Brian is getting ready right now to scrape off some of this melting snow so it doesn't turn into ice, because we are getting really freezing temperatures coming tomorrow. So you can see where the thawing is happening. You're getting, it's still pretty frozen in the driveway, but see, it's a little bit muddy right there. That's the middle of the driveway. And here comes Brian, ready to move some of this hard-packed snow out of the way so it doesn't ice up. That's the main reason he's doing this. We're getting that freezing weather the next week, so he's just trying to get rid of this, which is going to turn into ice if he doesn't remove it. So that's why he's doing this right now. But he's definitely trying to keep the loader above the gravel level to really minimize scraping off the gravel that we put down. It's all really, really, really slushy, and today it's soft, but it would be an ice rink in just a few days. So I'm about halfway up the hill, and this is where the geocell starts for us. It's not the entire length of the slope. It's about midway up the hill is where we started to put it in. So I can detect it. There's a little corner sticking out right here on the edge. So this is, you can see, here's an edge of the geocell right here. And I think that might be where it starts. So if you look into the driveway, look, you can see the tractor tracks and the melting and the water, the liquid, but no geocell, right? So the geocell's not popping through, despite the driveway being soft and the melting and the freezing cycles that we've had so far. It's not causing washout. The melting and the freezing is independent. The geocell is sort of independent of the washing, of the melting and the freezing. So where you can see the geocells on the edges here, this is where, you know, there's a couple lines here sticking out, and here. But remember, this is the very edge of the driveway. That's where the gravel starts to slope off. But you're looking towards the middle of the driveway, no geocell. And of course it's frozen snow over here. So far so good right here. I'm gonna go over there and look at it after it comes through. So it's still pretty icy right here, but the bare patch, where can we see the geocell? Okay, I see one little ridge right here, and I see that very kind of just barely poking through right here, but otherwise it's not noticeable. Like, I'm not seeing tons of geocell or gravel driveway loss. You can see the cracks of it. You know, there is movement. Look how soft this is, right? But it seems to be doing what it's supposed to, which is hold the driveway into place. He just scraped a bunch of this right here. Look at all that soft mud. But the geocell's below. So there was enough on top to keep it. And let's see. I'd say the biggest area where you can see it is right here. This is the steepest part of the hill. If you could notice the slope, I don't know, you might be able to tell by the snow, the angle right there. It's definitely the steepest part. I would say there's maybe like a 1/4 inch gap right here on this particular section. I could just see like a W. And so that's where you can see it poking through. So maybe in the spring we put a little bit more on this area, but otherwise really the rest of this is not showing a lot of exposure. Now the edges, because the edge is thin, and he did that last year, you know, when he did the edges on this corner, this is the thinnest area of the driveway, so you do see the most, but we're not really driving on this as much. But overall, I feel like, you know, just looking at it objectively, there really is not a lot of geocell exposure on this hillside. And do remember that this dries out the most quickly because it gets the most direct sun. So that could be a help. You know, he's turning around there on the corner. It's pretty dry, and that's because that corner gets the most sun. So, but over.
So I think next year we'll get some gravel and just keep a pile of it, because this is always the icy spot.
So for traction.
Yeah, so we just sprinkle some on top.
Yeah, to avoid the scraping, because every time you scrape, like a little bit more gravel comes off.
Yeah. So we can just, instead of having to scrape so deep, just, you know, scrape it pretty level and then put a little gravel on top in the icy spots. That way when it is melting, it'll settle down.
Yeah.
We'll just kind of be more building up the gravel than scraping it away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was looking at some of the spots where some of the geocell is exposed, and maybe the spring you might put in a little bit more. if needed, but it's just barely the outlines of the webbing. You know, this is, it's really not moving, I'll say. The driveway's really not moving. The gravel's staying put.
Soft.
Yeah, it gets soft when it gets wet.
Maybe putting a layer of 3/4 inch gravel on it, just like even if it's an inch,
Uh-huh.
it would kind of settle it.
Yeah.
It might help when we get bigger trucks and stuff.
Yeah. So an additional step would be throw a little bit more gravel on top of this.
Yeah, not just this select mix that we got, but an actual just a 3/4 inch gravel.
Yeah.
Inside.
Yeah. The inside corner's the thickest. The outside corner on that hill edge right there is pretty thin. That's where it was there's a few parts of the geocell sticking out. You can see look how much there is right here. It's a lot. It's like 6 inches up on the upper corner, but there's a little bit of a thin spot on that hill right there I looked at. But otherwise, it's holding up. Everything's staying in place. We've had a few thaw cycles, but I think the biggest thing besides the geocell is the use of the snowblower this year.
Yeah.
And this is the very last section that has geocell. Almost starts kind of where the dog is, kind of at the top corner up here. But you don't even see it. It's not really poking through at all. And look at the tire tracks, you know, you're getting still some compression and some softness because of the melt and the freeze cycles, but the geocell seems to be quite a bit below that still. So you still got your tire tracks. All right, so that's the update for Midwinter with a geocell, and we've got a chance to see with some of the thaw cycles how it's handling, how it's holding up. But I think the biggest one will probably be in April. A couple more months, guys, because that's when it starts to really, really thaw, and the layers underneath the top layers start to thaw out as well. So that'll really be the biggest test, I think. But what Brian said about putting another layer of 3/4 inch gravel on top to kind of keep the muddiness down next year might be a good move. Not necessarily a super thick layer, just a surface layer. And then as far as having to scrape the ice away, probably next year what we could do is just throw down some gravel on top of some of the scraped packed snow, so we don't have to scrape it all the way to the driveway and risk losing more gravel off of it.
Yeah, rather build it up than scrape it away.
Yeah. So that way we'll be adding to it and not taking away. But anyways, guys, that's a quick update from Colorado Mountain Living and how our mountain driveway is holding up in the winter with the use of geocell. So geocell and snowblower, those are our two magic combinations. So anyways, guys, thanks for checking it out. We'll keep you posted on the driveway. See you next time.